I never thought I'd be writing this story, but some experiences are too satisfying not to share. 4 years ago, I was just Olivia Martin, a 27-year-old woman trying to break into the luxury retail industry in Manhattan. After months of applications, I finally landed an interview at Bellamy's, one of the most prestigious department stores in the city. Getting my foot in the door had been nearly impossible without connections, but my experience at a smaller boutique in Brooklyn and my degree in fashion merchandising had finally paid off. Bellamy's occupied a historic building on Fifth Avenue, all gleaming marble and crystal chandeliers. Walking in for my first day was intimidating but exhilarating. I was assigned to the designer handbag section, reporting directly to Victoria Reynolds, the department manager. Victoria was in her late 50s, impeccably dressed in designer pieces, her blonde hair always perfectly styled. She had the air of someone who had spent decades in luxury retail and knew exactly how valuable she was to the company. "Welcome to Bellamy's," she said coolly when we met, her eyes scanning me from head to toe. I had spent nearly my entire savings on a simple but elegant black dress and low heels, determined to look professional while staying within my means. I noticed her lingering on my shoes, last season's design from a mid-tier brand, and my handbag, which was well made but clearly not from one of the premier designers we would be selling. The first week went smoothly enough. I absorbed everything like a sponge, learning about the products, the clientele, and Bellamy's exacting standards. My colleagues were mostly friendly, though somewhat reserved. Many came from wealthy backgrounds or had been in luxury retail for years. I was clearly the outsider, but I was determined to prove myself through hard work and dedication. By Friday, I felt I was finding my footing. That's when Victoria called me into her office at the end of my shift. She closed the door and gestured for me to sit. "Olivia, I wanted to discuss your presentation," she said, her voice soft but her eyes sharp. "At Bellamy's, our staff are a reflection of our brand. Our clients expect a certain standard." I nodded, not quite understanding where this was going. "Your attire is adequate," she continued, "but not quite what we expect from someone in designer handbags. Our clients need to believe we live and breathe luxury. They need to aspire to be like us." I felt my cheeks flush. I understand. I'm still building my professional wardrobe. Victoria raised her hand slightly, stopping me mid-sentence. "Perhaps start with a better handbag, something from our current season. And those shoes," she sighed. "Well, we all have to start somewhere." It wasn't exactly a reprimand, but the message was clear. I didn't look wealthy enough to belong at Bellamy's. Over the next few weeks, I noticed Victoria assigning the high-commission clients to other associates. These were the regular customers who came in specifically to purchase the latest releases and often spent tens of thousands in a single visit. Instead, I was consistently given the walk-ins, many of whom were just browsing or were tourists taking photos of bags they had no intention of purchasing. One afternoon, a woman in her early 30s entered our department. She was dressed in jeans and a simple blouse, her hair pulled back in a casual ponytail. Victoria immediately directed me to assist her, whispering, "Tourist, probably just looking. Keep her occupied, but don't waste too much time." I approached the woman with a warm smile. "Welcome to Bellamy's. Is there anything specific you're interested in today?" She smiled back. "Actually, I'm looking for a gift for my sister. It's her 30th birthday next week, and she's always wanted a Lanston clutch." I spent the next half hour showing her various options, explaining the craftsmanship and details of each piece. To my delight, she eventually selected one of our most expensive clutches, a limited edition piece priced at $4,800. As I was processing her purchase, Victoria swept over, suddenly all smiles. "Finding everything all right? I'd be happy to take over for Olivia if you'd like more experienced assistance." The customer glanced between us. "Oh, Olivia's been wonderful. I've actually decided on this one." She gestured to the clutch I was carefully wrapping. Victoria's smile remained fixed, but her eyes narrowed slightly. Excellent choice. She turned to me. Olivia, when you're finished, please restock the display by the entrance. After the customer left, Victoria approached me at the register. That was Rachel Miller, she said, her voice tight. She's the wife of Jonathan Miller, the hedge fund manager. She's a regular client who typically works with me. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Exactly. You didn't know. That's why experienced associates should handle our VIP clients. She tapped her manicured nail on the counter. From now on, please direct anyone you suspect might be a significant client to me or Heather. But how am I supposed to identify them if they're dressed casually like Mrs. Miller was today? I asked. Victoria gave me a cold smile. That's something you develop over time. A sense for quality and wealth. Some people have it naturally, others. She trailed off, looking pointedly at my outfit. The implication was clear. Someone like me wouldn't recognize wealth if it walked right up to me, because I wasn't part of that world. I had made a $4,800 sale, but instead of praise, I was being criticized for not recognizing that the casually dressed woman was actually wealthy. The next day, I arrived wearing a new blouse I'd splurged on, hoping to better fit Victoria's expectations. She barely glanced at me before announcing that I would be doing inventory in the stockroom for most of the day, away from customers. Over the next 2 months, Victoria's behavior became increasingly controlling. She instituted a new personal presentation review for our department, which essentially meant she could comment on and critique our appearance daily. While other associates received minor suggestions, my reviews always ended with a list of areas for improvement. Your hair looks unprofessional. That shade of lipstick doesn't convey luxury. Your nails need to be professionally manicured. Each criticism required me to spend more money I didn't have on my appearance. I was already stretching my budget to the breaking point trying to meet her standards. One morning, Victoria gathered the team before opening. I've noticed our accessories aren't being displayed to Bellamy's standards, she announced, though her eyes rested on me. From now on, Olivia will be responsible for the morning display setup and evening breakdown, in addition to her regular duties. This meant I would need to arrive an hour earlier and stay an hour later than my scheduled shift, unpaid overtime that no one else had to perform. Jessica Parker, a newer associate who had started a few weeks after me, whispered to me later, "She's being so unfair to you." I didn't understand why. Jessica was from an upper-middle-class family in Connecticut and had the kind of polished look that came from a lifetime of proper etiquette classes and shopping at high-end stores. Despite our different backgrounds, we had developed a friendship over lunch breaks and commiserating about difficult customers. "I think she doesn't believe I belong here," I admitted quietly as we rearranged a display of wallets. "I didn't come from money, and it shows." Jessica frowned. "That's ridiculous. You're the hardest worker in the department, and your sales numbers are good despite her never giving you the high-value clients." The following week, Victoria implemented another new policy. Associates would take turns bringing in breakfast pastries for the morning meetings. When my turn came, I brought in fresh croissants from a local bakery that had excellent reviews but was within my budget. Victoria took one look at the simple white box and raised an eyebrow. "No lingerie? No Dominique Ansel?" she asked, naming 2 of the most expensive bakeries in the city. "I found these at a wonderful little bakery near my apartment," I explained, trying to sound enthusiastic. She didn't even try one, and I noticed most of the other associates followed her lead, except for Jessica, who pointedly took 2 and declared them delicious. Later that day, I overheard Victoria speaking to Heather, her favorite associate. "It's about standards, you know. Some people simply don't understand the lifestyle our clients expect us to represent. If you can't afford to shop where our clients shop, eat where they eat, how can you possibly relate to them?" I felt my chest tighten. It was becoming clear that no matter how hard I worked or how well I performed, Victoria had decided I didn't have the right background, the right clothes, or the right look to succeed at Bellamy's. 3 months into my employment at Bellamy's, something unexpected happened. A man in his early 40s entered the department just before closing. He was dressed simply in jeans and a button-down shirt, with no obvious signs of wealth. Following Victoria's unspoken rules, I approached him while she remained with another, more expensively dressed client. "Good evening," I greeted him warmly. "How can I help you today?" "I'm looking for something special," he said with a slight accent I couldn't quite place. "A gift for a business partner." I spent the next half hour showing him various options, explaining the craftsmanship and exclusivity of each piece. He seemed genuinely interested in my knowledge, asking thoughtful questions about materials and design processes. Eventually, he selected a limited edition crocodile briefcase priced at $27,000. As I was processing his payment, Victoria suddenly appeared, her radar for large sales apparently functioning perfectly. "I see you found something," she said, smoothly inserting herself into the conversation. "I'm Victoria Reynolds, the department manager. I hope Olivia has been helpful, but I'd be happy to show you some other options that might better suit your needs." The man glanced between us, his expression unreadable. "Actually, I'm quite satisfied with my selection. Olivia has been extremely knowledgeable." Victoria's smile remained fixed, but her eyes hardened. "Of course, though for purchases of this caliber, I usually handle them personally to ensure everything is perfect." She turned to me. "Olivia, why don't you go help Jessica with the evening inventory? I'll complete this sale." I hesitated, caught between following orders and feeling that this sale was rightfully mine. The customer spoke before I could decide. "I'd prefer to continue working with Olivia, if that's all right," he said firmly. Victoria's smile faltered for just a moment. "I understand, but as manager, I need to oversee transactions of this size. Company policy." It was a lie, but what could I do? I reluctantly stepped aside, watching as Victoria took over my sale. The man gave me an apologetic look as I walked away. The next morning, Victoria called me into her office before the store opened. Her expression was severe. "Olivia, we need to discuss what happened yesterday," she began. "The customer you were assisting, Mr. Blackwell, is actually Daniel Blackwell, CEO of Blackwell Technologies. He's a VIP client who typically works directly with me." I nodded, unsure where this was going. "You should have recognized his name from our VIP list and directed him to me immediately," she continued. "Instead, you attempted to handle the sale yourself, which was inappropriate given your position and experience level." "I didn't recognize his name," I admitted. "And he specifically asked to work with me. Because he didn't know better," Victoria cut in. "This kind of mistake reflects poorly on the entire department. Furthermore, your appearance yesterday was particularly problematic. Your suit was clearly off the rack, and your shoes were scuffed. Mr. Blackwell is accustomed to working with associates who understand and embody luxury." I felt my face burning with humiliation and anger. "I've been trying to meet your standards, but—" "That's the issue," she interrupted again. "You shouldn't have to try. It should be natural. After careful consideration, I don't believe you're a good fit for Bellamy's customer experience. Today will be your last day." The room seemed to spin around me. "You're firing me because I don't look wealthy enough." Victoria's expression hardened. "I'm terminating your employment because you consistently fail to meet Bellamy's standards of customer service and personal presentation. You may collect your final paycheck from HR after you clean out your locker." I walked out of her office in a daze. Jessica found me in the break room, fighting back tears as I emptied my locker. "She fired you? That's insane," Jessica exclaimed. "Is this about the Blackwell sale?" I nodded, too upset to speak. "This is wrong," Jessica insisted. "You should fight this." But what could I do? I had no proof that Victoria had fired me for my appearance rather than my performance. I had no family connections, no savings to fall back on, and now no job. I felt utterly defeated. As I left Bellamy's for the last time, carrying my small box of belongings, I passed Daniel Blackwell entering the store. He nodded in recognition, but I quickly looked away, too ashamed to meet his eyes. Little did I know that this chance encounter would change everything. The weeks following my termination from Bellamy's were dark. I'd burned through my meager savings while applying for dozens of positions, but the luxury retail world was small, and Victoria's influence reached far. Interviews that initially seemed promising mysteriously cooled after reference checks. I started to believe my career in luxury retail was over before it had really begun. One afternoon, while I was walking home from another failed interview, my phone rang with an unknown number. "Is this Olivia Martin?" A woman's voice asked when I answered. "Yes, speaking." "My name is Eleanor Winters, executive assistant to Daniel Blackwell. Mr. Blackwell would like to meet with you regarding a potential opportunity. Would you be available tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at his office?" I nearly dropped my phone in shock. Daniel Blackwell. The customer from Bellamy's? "The very same," Eleanor confirmed. "He was quite impressed with your product knowledge and has been trying to reach you through Bellamy's. But they claimed you had left suddenly for personal reasons." My mind raced. Why would someone like Daniel Blackwell want to meet with me? Was this about the briefcase he purchased? Had there been a problem with it after all? "Of course," I replied. "I'll be there." The next morning, I arrived at the gleaming Blackwell Technologies headquarters in Midtown Manhattan, wearing the best outfit I could put together from my wardrobe. After being escorted to the top floor, I was shown into a spacious office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Daniel Blackwell rose from behind his desk to greet me. "Ms. Martin, thank you for coming. Please, have a seat." Once we were settled, he got straight to the point. "I was disappointed to hear you no longer work at Bellamy's. You provided exceptional service during my visit." I shifted uncomfortably. "Thank you. There were differences of opinion regarding department standards." "I suspected as much," he nodded. "Victoria Reynolds has a certain perspective on luxury that I find increasingly outdated. She believes luxury is about exclusivity and appearances. I believe true luxury is about exceptional quality, knowledge, and service, all of which you demonstrated." He leaned forward slightly. "I'm launching a new venture called Blackwell Luxury Group. We're acquiring several high-end boutiques and will be opening our flagship store next year. I'm assembling a team that understands modern luxury, and I'd like you to be part of it." I stared at him in disbelief. "Me? But I have excellent product knowledge, genuine passion, and treat all customers with respect regardless of how they're dressed," he finished for me. "Those qualities are far more valuable than knowing which fork to use at dinner or wearing the right brand of shoes." As he outlined his vision for a more inclusive luxury retail experience, I felt a spark of hope rekindling. By the end of our meeting, I had been offered a position as assistant buyer for leather goods at nearly twice my previous salary, with a start date in 2 weeks. "One more thing," Daniel said as our meeting concluded. "I'm hosting a charity gala next month at the Plaza. Many influential people from the luxury retail world will be there, including several Bellamy's executives. I'd like you to attend as part of our team's introduction to society." The thought of facing Victoria or other Bellamy's staff made my stomach churn, but I nodded. "I'll be there." Over the next few weeks, I immersed myself in my new role. Daniel proved to be a visionary leader who valued substance over style. The team he assembled was diverse in background, but united in their passion for quality and customer experience. For the first time since entering luxury retail, I felt truly valued for my knowledge and abilities rather than judged for my appearance or background. As the gala approached, however, my anxiety grew. I had nothing suitable to wear to such an event, and even with my improved salary, I couldn't afford the kind of couture that would be expected. 3 days before the gala, a large box was delivered to my desk. Inside was a stunning evening gown from one of the designers we would be carrying in the new store, along with a note from Daniel. For your professional arsenal. Consider it an investment in our company's image. DB. The message was clear. Unlike Victoria, who expected employees to maintain an expensive appearance on their own dime, Daniel understood that presenting a certain image was a business expense, not a personal one. The night of the gala, I arrived at the plaza feeling nervous but determined. The elegant ballroom was filled with Manhattan's elite, including, as promised, several Bellamy's executives. I spotted Victoria across the room, holding court with her usual air of superiority, ready to make an entrance. Daniel appeared beside me, accompanied by a striking woman in her 40s whom he introduced as his wife, Laura. As ready as I'll ever be, I replied, straightening my shoulders. Perfect. Because there's something I didn't mention, Daniel said with a slight smile. Tonight we're announcing our acquisition of Harrison's. My eyes widened. Harrison's was Bellamy's main competitor, an even more prestigious department store with an even longer history. And, he continued, you're being named as the head buyer for leather goods and accessories for all our locations. Word spread quickly through the gala about Blackwell Luxury Group's acquisition of Harrison's. I could feel curious eyes following me as Daniel introduced me to various industry insiders as his head of leather goods and accessories. Victoria, who had been studiously avoiding looking in our direction, finally couldn't maintain her pretense of indifference when the CEO of Bellamy's himself came over to speak with Daniel, bringing her along. James Montgomery, CEO of Bellamy's. The older man introduced himself to me with a firm handshake. Daniel speaks very highly of you, Ms. Martin. Ms. Martin previously worked at Bellamy's, actually, Daniel mentioned casually. In Victoria's department. Victoria's smile froze as her gaze finally landed on me, recognition dawning in her eyes. Olivia, she said tightly. What a surprise. Montgomery looked between us, confused. You worked for us. I don't recall. Briefly, Victoria cut in. It wasn't a good fit. Interesting, Daniel commented. She's been an exceptional fit at Blackwell. In fact, Olivia will be overseeing our entire leather goods division, including the Harrison's acquisition. Montgomery's eyebrows shot up. Is that so? Well, congratulations, Ms. Martin. As the conversation continued, I could see Victoria growing increasingly uncomfortable. Her eyes kept darting to my designer gown, the Blackwell executives treating me as an equal, and the influential people now eager to speak with me. Later in the evening, Jessica, my former colleague from Bellamy's, found me near the bar. Olivia, I can't believe it's you. You look amazing. We embraced warmly, and she lowered her voice. Everyone's talking about you. Victoria is practically having a meltdown in the ladies' room. Really? I asked, surprised. Jessica nodded eagerly. After you left, things got worse. She's been tyrannical, and our department's sales have dropped. Montgomery has been asking questions. She glanced around before continuing. And now her star client, Daniel Blackwell, not only left Bellamy's for a competitor, but hired you for a position way above hers. It's delicious. I'm not celebrating anyone's downfall, I said carefully. But I am grateful for the opportunity I have now. Well, I'm celebrating, Jessica declared. And I have news too. I put in my 2 weeks' notice at Bellamy's this morning. I've accepted a position at Blackwell Luxury Group. I stared at her in surprise. You did? How? I reached out to the email on their website after I heard about the Harrison's acquisition. Mentioned I knew you. Had an interview yesterday. She grinned. I start next month. As the evening progressed, more industry players approached me, eager to establish connections with Blackwell's new leather goods director. With each introduction, with each business card exchanged, I could feel Victoria watching from across the room, her influence visibly diminishing as mine grew. The final blow came when James Montgomery himself sought me out again, this time without Victoria. Ms. Martin, I feel I should apologize, he said quietly. I've been hearing concerning things about your departure from Bellamy's. Rest assured, I'll be looking into the matter personally. As he walked away, I caught Victoria's eye across the room. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked uncertain, even afraid. The tables had turned, and we both knew it. 6 months after the gala, Blackwell Luxury Group's flagship store was ready for its grand opening on 5th Avenue, just 3 blocks from Bellamy's. The night before the public opening, we were hosting an exclusive preview event for VIPs, press, and industry insiders. Our store was magnificent, blending classic luxury with modern sensibilities. My leather goods department occupied prime real estate on the main floor, featuring both heritage brands and up-and-coming designers I had personally scouted. As I made my final checks before guests arrived, Daniel approached me. Everything looks perfect, Olivia. But I have one last surprise. He handed me a small blue box. Inside was a business card holder crafted from the finest leather, with my name and new title embossed in gold. Olivia Martin, Vice President of Accessories, Blackwell Luxury Group. I looked up in shock. Vice President, Daniel smiled. The board approved it this morning. Your division has already secured exclusive contracts with 3 designers that Bellamy's has been courting for years. You've earned this. The preview event was a dazzling success. Fashion editors, celebrities, and luxury retail executives all marveled at the store's concept and execution. My department received particular praise for its curation and presentation. Midway through the evening, there was a stir near the entrance. Victoria Reynolds had arrived, along with several Bellamy's executives. Their presence wasn't entirely unexpected. Many industry competitors had been invited as a courtesy. But seeing Victoria in my territory sent a jolt through me. She moved through the crowd with her usual poise, but I noticed her eyes widening as she took in the opulence of our store and the enthusiasm of the guests. When she reached my department, she paused, examining our displays with a critical eye. I approached her, champagne flute in hand. Victoria, welcome to Blackwell Luxury. She turned, her expression carefully neutral. Olivia, quite an impressive space. Thank you. We're proud of it. An uncomfortable silence stretched between us until she said, I see you finally acquired a sense of appropriate presentation. Her gaze swept over my custom-tailored suit and designer accessories. Before I could respond, Daniel appeared at my side. Ah, Victoria. I see you've reconnected with our VP of Accessories. Victoria's composure slipped momentarily. Vice President. Indeed, Daniel confirmed. Olivia has been instrumental in establishing our accessories division. In fact, just this morning we finalized exclusive arrangements with Lanston, Vermeer, and Chen Designs. Victoria couldn't hide her shock. These were 3 of the most prestigious designers in the industry, and exclusivity agreements were rarely granted. That's quite an achievement, she managed. Olivia has a remarkable eye for quality and an authentic passion for craftsmanship, Daniel continued. Qualities that are increasingly rare in our industry, wouldn't you agree? Before Victoria could answer, James Montgomery joined our circle. Daniel, congratulations on this spectacular opening. He turned to me with a warm smile. Ms. Martin, the store is magnificent, and your department is particularly impressive. Thank you, Mr. Montgomery, I replied. He glanced at Victoria, his expression cooling slightly. Victoria, I believe we need to discuss some departmental restructuring when we return to Bellamy's tomorrow. Victoria's face paled. Of course. As they moved away, Daniel touched my elbow lightly. There's someone else I'd like you to meet. The editor-in-chief of Luxury Daily is doing a feature on our store, with a spotlight on you as a rising star in luxury retail. I followed him, feeling Victoria's eyes burning into my back. In that moment, I realized I no longer cared about her approval or judgment. I had proven my worth, not through family connections or appearances, but through genuine expertise and hard work. The next day, our grand opening drew crowds that stretched around the block. As I stood near the entrance greeting customers, a gleaming Rolls-Royce pulled up to the curb. Daniel emerged from the driver's side, then came around to open the passenger door. His wife Laura stepped out, drawing admiring glances from the waiting crowd. Daniel caught my eye and winked as he escorted her into the store. It was a perfect photo opportunity, the billionaire tech mogul turned luxury retail innovator arriving in style with his elegant wife. Photos would be in all the society pages tomorrow. As I returned to my department, Jessica sidled up to me with a tablet in hand. "You might want to see this," she said, showing me a breaking news alert from a retail industry publication. The headline read, "Bellamy's announces major leadership changes. Victoria Reynolds steps down as department manager amid restructuring." Justice, it seemed, had finally arrived. 2 years after Blackwell Luxury Group's spectacular launch, I stood in my expansive office overlooking Fifth Avenue, reflecting on how dramatically my life had changed. Our company had grown to include 5 locations across the country, with plans for international expansion on the horizon. My accessories division consistently outperformed projections, and I had recently been featured in Forbes' 40 Under 40 list for retail innovation. A knock on my door interrupted my thoughts. Jessica, now my second in command, entered with excitement in her eyes. "The new fall collection just arrived from Milan," she announced. "And you've got to see who delivered it personally." Curious, I followed her to our receiving area. Standing there, clipboard in hand and looking decidedly less polished than I remembered, was Victoria Reynolds. She had lost the confident posture and superior air that once defined her. Now, she looked tired and significantly humbled. When she saw me, she straightened slightly. "Ms. Martin, I'm with Europelli Distribution now. I have your full delivery." The irony wasn't lost on me. Victoria, who once ruled her department with an iron fist, was now essentially a delivery coordinator for one of our suppliers. "Thank you, Victoria," I said simply. "Jessica will sign for the delivery." As Jessica took the clipboard, I added, "Would you care to join me for coffee? I have a few minutes before my next meeting." Surprise flickered across Victoria's face, but she nodded. In my office, I noticed her taking in the awards on my walls, the photos of me with designers and celebrities, the clear evidence of my success. "Your office is lovely," she said after an awkward silence. "Thank you." She set down her coffee cup with a sigh. "I owe you an apology, Olivia. The way I treated you at Bellamy's was inexcusable." I studied her face, seeing genuine regret there. "What happened after I left?" Victoria's shoulders slumped slightly. After the Blackwell opening, Montgomery launched an investigation into our department practices. Several associates came forward with complaints similar to yours. I was demoted, then eventually let go during restructuring. She made air quotes around the word. "No one in management would hire me after that. Hence, distribution coordination." I nodded, unsure what to say. Part of me felt vindicated, but another part recognized how easily fortunes could change in our industry. "I was wrong about you," Victoria continued, "and I was wrong about what luxury really means. Your department here, it's not just expensive things. There's passion and knowledge and accessibility without compromising quality. It's what Bellamy's should have been." Her admission surprised me. "Thank you for saying that. It means something coming from you." We chatted a bit longer about the industry, her new role, my upcoming projects. As she prepared to leave, Victoria hesitated at the door. "Can I ask you something?" When I nodded, she continued, "That first day at the Blackwell opening, you arrived in a Rolls-Royce with Daniel Blackwell. Was that planned?" I smiled, remembering. Daniel suggested it. He said sometimes in life, you need a grand entrance to rewrite the narrative. "Victoria, you fired me because I didn't look the part of luxury. So when I returned to the industry, we made sure I looked more than the part." Victoria nodded slowly. Well played. After she left, I gazed out my window at the bustling street below. The Rolls-Royce had been symbolic, of course, a deliberate message to Victoria and everyone who had judged me on appearances rather than substance. But the true luxury was having the freedom to define success on my own terms. That evening, as I prepared to leave, Daniel stopped by my office. I saw Victoria Reynolds leaving earlier. Interesting turn of events, isn't it? Life has a way of coming full circle, I agreed. He studied me for a moment. No desire for revenge. I shook my head. What would be the point? I have everything I wanted, a career I love, work that challenges me, and the respect of people whose opinions I value. I smiled. Besides, success is the best revenge. Daniel laughed. Wise words. Speaking of success, the board approved your proposal for the mentorship program. Fashion Forward launches next month. Full scholarships and internships for 10 students from underprivileged backgrounds. This was my passion project, creating pathways into luxury retail for talented young people regardless of their socioeconomic background. People who, like me, had the knowledge and drive, but not the connections or pedigree. That's the best news I've had all day, I told him sincerely. As I left the building that evening, I paused to look up at the illuminated Blackwell luxury sign. I thought about the journey that had brought me here, from being judged and dismissed to creating a new standard for what luxury could be. A standard based on knowledge, quality, and genuine passion rather than appearances and exclusivity. Victoria had tried to keep me out of a world she thought I didn't belong in. Instead, she had inadvertently set me on the path to reimagining what that world could be. More inclusive, more authentic, and ultimately more successful. Sometimes, being judged for your looks and kicked out is exactly the push you need to come back stronger, whether in a Rolls-Royce or not.